Hey everybody, it's Erin and we're going to make some Valentine's Day cards today. The first step that we're going to do is we are going to die cut out of this Rainier foil paper these two hearts. I've already made one card, but I'm going to quickly show you how to make a second card. It's really easy, and then I'm actually going to make a third card. These cards, I just ran them through my cuddle bug. I'll make a third heart later off screen, so that way you guys don't have to see me make two repetitive cards. I think I have enough. I might have to break out another section of foiled paper, which is why I'm not bothering doing it on here. I can get this, but I can't quite fit another of this one. So I'll probably, so I'm not squishing myself, end up cutting with here, and then I'll get another sheet of this foiled paper. This paper is so cool. It's a foil paper. This one's got these little stars all over it. It's really kind of fun. And it's paper on the inside. So that's why it's foil on the outside, paper. And this is called the Starstruck in Ebony. It's really, really cool. All the supplies are listed down below for all the products I'm going to be using, with the exception of a couple, because I really did pull out of my stash quite a bit this time. Now these cards are going to be for my swap that I am hosting. So we're doing a Valentine's Day swap. And the Valentine's Day swap is for an A2 size card. It's either batches of 10 or 20. And the link to get to the Facebook group to join this swap is going to be down below. But it's a Facebook group. It's just Erin Reed's card swaps. It's pretty simple. And it's got all the information, but basically it's an A2 size card. And an A2 size card is if you took an 8.5-11 sheet of paper. It's going to quickly show you. So this is a standard piece of paper. This is just gift paper that I have. It's 8.5 by 11 what you get out of your printer. If you cut your paper, and this is the most basic way to do an A2 size card, and you cut it in half, 11 inches in half is 5.5, which is what this is right here. Cut this in half, and you're left with this. You fold that in half, and I'm just going to do a rough fold, and you got an A2 size card. You can get 2 cards out of an 8.5 to 11 sheet of paper. So the dimensions for an A2 size card, when you do that, is going to be 5.5. And when you take the 8.5 and you fold it, just like that, you end up getting 4.25. Some people go to 4.5 just because they may be using a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So 4.5, 4.25, but that's the easiest way to get this size card. Your card can be horizontal, it can be vertical. You could even trim it to go a different direction so it folds up long ways. There's all different ways, but basically when the card is closed, it's 5.5 by 4.25 or 4.5, right in that section. So that is what I have here. So we are going to create a fun Valentine's Day card. I'm an inker, and this is the card we are going to make. It's really cool. It's kind of fun. I really pulled out some of my old supplies that I've had sitting around, and just to kind of give that little bit of extra something, I am going to go ahead and ink the edges in black. I have also pre-cut a sheet of cardstock. Now, I only had 2 pieces left that were this lined paper, but I really loved the look of the craft, and so I just took the back side of a black. So I didn't like the black. It was too much. So I thought, well, a third card is just going to have craft. That's what it is. So when you're making more than one card, it's okay to divert a little bit. It's not a big deal. So if you're going to join the swap, one of the other key things to think about is that the time frame to make sure that your cards are mailed off by are by February 1st, 2018, because we're in 18 now. It's kind of a funny feeling. I'm going to use some Hallmark craft glue, and my little tip to you guys, whenever you're dealing with a glue like this is a fast drying glue. Always make sure you tip on there and then leave it upside down. Part of the reason for that is your glue will always be ready. I had something kind of off my camera for a while, but I actually ended up cleaning out another jar, and I think I'm going to decorate it and make it my glue jar from here on out. That'll be a video yet to come. And then if you're constantly using it, like I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to clean off my top because sometimes you get a little bit of glue residue right at the tip. And I love this glue for this kind of a project, and I don't feel like pulling out a ton of different types of adhesive. I like my tape runner and stuff, but I can also just pop my glue there. This is a super fast drying glue. I'm not worried about the whole acid-free thing because I'm not dealing with a picture. And for me, mixed media books and card books and all those kinds of things, I'm not too worried about the whole acid-free scenario. Okay, from here, I also found another little strip of paper, and all of these papers are for Canvas Corp, by the way. I love this little stripe. It's just something. I think it was kind of cute and kind of fun. So I'm going to trim that up. And I believe I like doing it a little bit longer. So when I put my layers down, notice how my layer of my strip is just a tiny bit longer than the mat. So my mat I have trimmed down. I'll have to measure it on this one because I don't remember. Cover up my glue real fast. My mat is 5 by 3 3/4. So I went down by concentric sizes basically. And so this is 3/4 of a width long. And then I went to 5 1/2. Or no, 5 1/4 because the full card is 5 1/2. So that way you can see all these fun layers. There's always a little bit showing. So I didn't have to worry about trying to open my glue. It was ready to go because I'm popping it upside down in my jar. Makes my life easy. I always like, instead of doing straight in the middle, I like going a little off center because it gives kind of a place to groove for my card to go. And on that card, I actually layered the big heart in the back. This time I'm going to layer it on top just for something different. I don't know which one I'm going to like more. Add my glue to the background here. Now there are a few little holes that I missed in my card. I'm just going to rub my finger on them. See if I can pop them out. They're not coming out. I should have done it beforehand. They'll come out. I'm just being lazy. There it goes. I kind of forgot. Oops. It doesn't bug me though. If it bugs you and you want to have all your little holes out, then go for it. Just popping them down. So I love doing card swaps. It's a fun way to get some other cards. And it's also kind of a get Happy Meal, which is kind of cool. You basically, if you're going to send in 10 cards, you send me 10 cards. And then of all the people that send in cards, I mix and match them so everybody gets something different. If you put your full name on the back too, then I will make sure that your card does not come back to you. If you just put an initial, it's really hard for me to know whose card is who. So if you write your name, or at least your last name, then that makes life a little easier for me when it's swapping time. Because I literally just pull all the cards out of the packages, lay them, and start sorting by batches of 10. I'm going to take a little bit of some, this is Tattered Angels. This is actually a plain Jane. It doesn't have any glimmer in it. And I'm just doing my flicky method, which is I take my mister out of here and I just flick, 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 flick. Simple as that. Just to add that layer of something. And I know what I got it on here and I'm just going to wipe it off because you're not going to see the black on black. And then I get inky fingers. All right, the next thing, while this is kind of drying, so I'm going to set that off to the side, is I have this really small corrugated sheet of paper. And on the previous card, I measured it to be, I'm going to flip it over. So if I flip it and I cut it from this side, it actually works on the trimmer. I cut it so that it was 1 1/4 inches wide. I started at a wire width and it didn't look right. It looked kind of funny. I got to come in with some scissors now because it didn't quite cut all the way through. But at least I have a place to start from. Just a little bit shy. And this is not a super thick. This is actually a very thin cardboard that came from Canvas Cores. It actually came in like a little 6x6 pack. I lost my blade. I'm also trimming it just a tiny bit shorter, and I cannot remember, so I'm going to have to measure again. I'm not going to be able to fit that in there. Got to get out a ruler. Sometimes I like to use just my paper trimmer as my ruler. Oh, it's 4 1/2, just to make my life easy. All right, so I'm going to cut this down to 4 1/2. Oops, remember. Cut on the side that is not the corrugation, the flat side. And then I can see, and this one pops just clean through. It's really easy. So from here, I'm going to ink this again. And on the other one, what I did, I inked the edges, and I also inked the top just to bring another layer of color in there. Because there's a lot of craft going on in the background, and I didn't want to have it too craft on craft on craft. It's just adding another layer, kind of a color. It's another kind of a stripe in a way. And it's just giving that pop of something. So now we're going to layer. Oops, there's one more step. So I have a fun, I got this trim a long time ago. I got a ton of it. And I think it went really pretty with some of my flowers that are on here. So I'm going to pull off a section of that. Get my scissors. I'm always trying to find ways to use up some of my trims because I have a ton. How many of you have a ton of ribbon and a ton of trim and you don't do anything with it? Or you might use some, but you just seem to never get rid of enough. So my goal this year is, even though I may use some new supplies on things, is to try and pull out some old supplies on top of it. All right, so all I did is I went around 3 times And if you notice, I'm wrapping it around and around and around, and making sure that it's not all in one, so they're staggered, just like you can see there. And I added a little dab of glue right there on the back. You could use tape, you could also tape this down, but this glue's got a good stick to it that it should be fine. And I overdid, but as you saw, I have a ton. And I'm not gonna bother saving that because I have way too much of this trim. It's not a bad thing to have the trim. I do use it, but that is, again, like my goal. Everybody's got their little crafty goals for the year. My goal is, even if I use new supplies, pull out some old supplies, which is what these flowers are. I'm going to show you how ancient this flower set is. It's crazy. Okay, so now I have that. Put that off to the side again. We're going to make our flower. So this is a flower kit that I got. And in this flower kit, came from Hobby Lobby. I bought years ago, and it's been sitting in this container for, get this, since 2009. That's how long I've had this. And I loved it, and I thought it was so pretty. And then I was thinking about Valentine's Day cards, and I pulled out all these other flowers, but I saw this one flower kit, and I just said, you know what? That's what I'm going to use. And in the flower kit, it came with all these loose flowers, like you see here. It came with all of these, and this one. It did not come with these, but I was one flower short to doing the project I wanted to do. So I was like, okay. So I pulled out some that definitely matched the color tones. It worked really well. And these were also in here. So these little gemmy pieces were up at the top. And there was 6 of these and then a whole stash of flowers. So the whole point is to make your own layered flower, which is what we're going to do. So like I said, ancient. I don't even know if I can find this because it's from 2009. In the trash it goes. Yay, I've used up a product. You guys ever feel good whenever you've actually used something up? I do. So since I am going to be making 2 more cards, I'm going to go ahead and make both flowers. For one flower, I'm going to start off with a dark color, and for the other flower, I'm going to start off with the light color. And my first stage is I'm going to crinkle the edges. All I'm doing, and I'm going to go kind of up close to the screen, to the video, is I take my hand, I take my 2 fingers, and I pinch the petals together, just like this, just like that. Come in and I pinch. And I'm kind of pushing it into my thumb, as you can see. It's not going to fully stay, but it's giving a little more dimension to that flower. So I'm going to do that to another one. And these already have some dimension. I'm just adding to it, giving it a little bit more. Kind of fluffing them up a bit. So just pinch, pinch, pinch. I'm going to do one with you and then speed through the other because you don't need to see me pinch, pinch, pinching. I'm reserving one because you're going to see what we're going to do for that one in a minute. All right, so if I've started with a dark color, I'm going to put a little dab of glue. And I'm going to come in with one of the lighter colors. Put that on top. And when I place it on top, I'm going to angle so the petals are not lined up. Meaning, just to show you on this one, I don't want to have it square on square. So I've kind of angled it a little bit different. It's not to be completely up and down and square, but just a little different. Now I'm going to bring another flower in again. This time I'm going back to the dark flower, so I'm going dark, light, dark, and I'm going to angle again so that way you can see that lighter color. And it's just adding and creating a fun layered effect for my flower. And there it is. So you can use these for all kinds of your flat flowers, even punched flowers. This concept works. Now I'm going to take a pretty, let's go with this one. This one's pretty. Take this one right here, a little fun center, and pop this in the center. Ta-da! Just like that. And it creates a fun little dimension in the center. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and layer this flower up now too. All right, so here's 2 little flowers. You can make big centers, you can have round centers. I mean, have fun with it. This one came with some that were already there. So I kind of played off of these colors, and that's where I went with the cards. All right, so from here, I'm going to start with the one flower that I created with you. I'm going to put my dab of glue. Now, another thing I probably should do, because it's been so long. Oh, I need one more layer. I always forget this one. I'm going to add another heart just to create another layer. So I'm going to take my glue. I love layers. It just adds so much to the dimension of everything. Now, the other thing that I'm diverting from this card, from one card to the other, is I actually put the string, the twine over top of this flower. This one I'm taking, so change it up. Have some fun. Sometimes you can alter your layers. Like this one, I put it all away. It just, have fun with it. Change it up. My last card, I might even go different again. All right, I'm gonna re-add my glue. What I was saying is that this little gem here in the middle, because this is 8 years old, I do not trust the stickiness of this particular gem. Actually, it is sticking really well. I might have to trust the stickiness. I can't pull it off, so that's a good sign. So I'm gonna leave that. All right, so then I have that. Now this is where the last flower comes into effect. I'm going to cut these little pieces apart because I want to add one more layer to the back of this flower. But if I just put this in there, you're not going to see it. It's going to hide because it's the same size. So I'm going to tear my little flower apart. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on my petals and I'm going to tuck them in right in here. And I'm not going all the way in. It's giving me that dimension so I can actually see it. And I'm going in on the corners right in here. So it's making my flower look a little bigger. Fluff them in if you want to. Add that little dimension by twisting the little petals. Come in, add a little bit more glue, and it's just making my flower look that much bigger. So this is a trick that if you do not have bigger punches or you only have the same size flower, this is a trick to make your flower look that much bigger. And then I need one more in this corner just by cutting them apart. It's kind of cool. There I go. Make sure I keep it upside down again. All right, so there's our nice pretty flower centered right there. All right, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take this little petal here. This is another flower, and this came from a big tube of flowers that look like this. And all these flowers were from Prima. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up, and we're going to create petals. Not petals, sorry, leaves. Now, you can buy leaves, but I have so many flowers that we're going to make leaves. So I'm just going to kind of trim this in to make it look like a leaf. A little more like a leaf. Oops, screw that up. Kind of leaf-like. To me, that doesn't look like a leaf, it looks like a petal, but when I flip it, it looks more leafy. Rounding the edges. There we go. And then we're going to invert it. And I like my leaves to be, I'm not thrilled with that one. We're going to toss that. I have a whole nother flower here that I can cut apart to make myself a leaf. There we go. So I'm going to add my glue again. So back to how I like my leaves to be centered is I like them kind of in the corner here. So I'm going to just tuck it in. And I like them kind of together. It looks funny to me if you separate them. So just come in and give a little corner there. See, just a little something, just a little something. It gives that pop of white back into the card, which I think is kind of pretty. All right, then I want to add a fun little embellishment up in the corner. So let's go with this oval looking one. I think that one's really pretty. And for this, I think I'm going to add a little bit of glue. It feels pretty sticky. I'm probably fine, but just to help it along. This thing is 8 years old. It's when I first started kind of getting into the whole scrapbooky stuff. I was thinking about this for scrapbooks, but I never used it. I love these gems, but again, I never used them. All right, put this in here. Now, I wanted to add, to me, that one just doesn't quite pop, but I've got some light colors. So I found, I was really looking for black, but I could not find black anywhere. But I found these gems, and so I got the light pink, so I thought that looked good. I'm going to do one above, one below. A trio of 3 always looks good. And I did misalign. Oops. It's shifting on me. Which is good because I needed it to move anyway. So I'm going to line this up right. I'm lining it right up against that edge of that craft. And then there's this right here. And kind of lining it up as best as I can. But I know I'm right against that edge, so I got to be careful about that too. And that's it. There's my card. So I've got my one last flower. Here's 2 of the cards already. And then I've got my last little gems. Taking a couple of seconds. I just got to cut out some more of my hearts. And that's it. So it was super pretty. I got almost 3 cards. 2 for sure. The only last thing I need to do is I need to write my name on the back. So if you would like to participate in my card swap, make sure you take a look at the comments or the more section for not only all the links to the products, but the link to my Facebook group where you can get joining, and then it has all the information that you need about where to mail it to, just kind of the nitty gritty. We're not sending envelopes because if everybody's sending the same side card, you're going to have the envelopes for it anyway. So you can do your own thing. We are not putting any information on the inside, therefore you can use the card. If you would like to send a comment, put it on a sticky note or on a piece of paper that is not glued in, therefore you can remove it. So it's pretty easy. It is open internationally. So the other key thing is that you're going to mail your packages to me. So you're going to want to use a padded envelope. It looks kind of like this. When you mail the package to me, you're going to want to put a secondary envelope inside of here. That's the envelope I'm going to mail it back to you with. So what you're going to do is on that envelope, you're going to have, you can use your address, you can use my address. Put your address in here, so that way I don't mess up who it's going to. So self-address your envelope, and either you can put postage on it, and the postage is all listed for the United States, all listed on that website, and all the information is there. You can send me PayPal money, or you can send me cash. It's up to you, either way. Usually for 10 cards, it's about $4.50. Depending on the weights of the cards. If the cards are really light, they're not going to be too bad. If they're heavy, it's going to cost a little more money. So I kind of go with $4.50 just to be even, and there's definitely going to be enough postage for you. If you've got 20 cards, the postage goes up, and again, it's all listed. I could be a little wrong on my postage. International. I have looked up how much it costs for international. It is your cost to ship to me, and then also you need to reimburse me, or you need to send ahead of time. I'm not mailing the packages off until I have the payment in hand. So as soon as I receive the payment and it's after the swapping time that they've all come to me, then I will mail it back off to you. But it does cost a little bit more if you're international. I know I have a few people from Canada, and I know I have somebody from Netherlands. So if you're wanting to do it, I'm all for it. It's perfectly fine. So any information you may have about the swap, please let me know. And it is a lot of fun. It's kind of a fun way to get some happy mail and some really cool, pretty cards. So thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's have some fun making Valentine's Day cards. See you later. Bye-bye.